Well, we're joined by Giovanni Broussard, who's an environmental crimes officer at the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. Thanks very much for your time. China seems to be doing as much as it says it can do in order to prevent the ivory trade, and yet demand seems to be going up. There seems to be a disparity there. What else can it do?
Well, first of all, thank you very much and happy World Wildlife Day. The efforts of China to curb the illegal trade of African ivory in particular are very important. We hear from this report also that there are serious efforts to improve the conservation of Asian elephants. But the concerns remain about the fact that a domestic market for ivory in China undermines the efforts to curb once and for all the illegal trade of African ivory going exactly from Africa and reaching Asian markets. We all hope that China will take bold measures to curb this illegal trade, which is decimating the number of elephants in ivory in Africa, and is bringing them on the brink of extinction.
It's one thing to deal with the demand in China, but the supply is in Africa, and I'm told, that there are satellites monitoring tracking the elephants and rhinos as well, which is another major problem, I believe, for poachers. There are more rangers on the ground. We now have drones that apparently can follow the herds as they move through the bush and so on, and yet the poachers are still managing to get the ivory. What else can be done?
Well, look, in this moment we see a polarized approach to look at this issue. The Asian countries tend to blame the African countries for not succeeding in curbing the poaching of rhinoceros or elephants. At the same time, African countries tend to blame the Asian countries for not succeeding in reducing the demand of ivory of rhino horn. Well, I see some truth in both approaches, but I don't think that this polarized system, these polarized views, actually help particularly to solve the problem. There is a need of having Asian countries and African countries working together at the level of investigation, of law enforcement, to make sure that when shipments full of ivory are identified in some of the transit countries, there are real international investigations to identify the buyers, the sellers, the traffickers, and bring them to justice. In this moment, this is not happening, and I'm still very shocked when I worked, especially in Asia, with Asian law enforcement agencies, to realize how little and how little aware they are about the issue of illegal ivory trade.
Giovanni Broussard is the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. Thank you very much for joining us. Children in Liberia are back in the classroom